I have 33 eyeshadow palettes in front of me, and this is my Q2 palette roundup. I'm going to be showing you all of the palettes that I used in April, May, and June, and showing you one eyeshadow look from each palette. I love doing these types of videos and looking back and seeing all of the palettes that I've used and all of the palettes that have gotten some love this year. So if you're here for it, stick around. Hi, I'm Andi. Welcome or welcome back. I'm really happy that you're here. All right, I have 33 palettes, but I will show you 34 looks because I do not have one palette in my possession. It is now gone. It had gone bad, and I will tell you when I get there. But I'm going to show you all of the palettes that I used one time only, and these are no particular order. They're just how they're stacked. So the first one is the ColourPop Peach Out palette. This is my only 9-pan palette that I still have from ColourPop that is intact. And the only reason it's still intact is because it's not magnetic, and I don't want to break the packaging. But I had depotted all of my others. I'm happy I did it. Do I use them any more than I did before? No, not really, but I'm still happy that I did it. I used this as a supporting character, not as the main star. I used some of these lighter peach mattes with, I believe, shades from my eyeshadow roulette that I really needed to get some use on, and for whatever reason, I thought that was a good idea to bring this in and use the mattes. The next one is the Sugar Rush B palette. Sugar Rush is it Sugar Rush? I always question myself. Whatever Tarte's sister brand used to be. I got this from a friend on Instagram, and I just love this palette. I love these warm, rosy brown tones. There are some, warm, say coppery type shades, but also I love the rosy browns in this. I love the look that I did with it, and I'm really kind of surprised that I only used it once, because I really do like it. I like the formula. I think the shimmers are beautiful. And yeah, like I am kind of surprised that I used it only once. Oh, I will, you know what? I had not planned on swatching. I had not planned on swatching anything. But this shade right here with the bee on it, which is adorable. I love bees. I love this shade. It is like almost a copper, but also a little bit of a rose in there. So like a rosy copper. And it's such a beautiful shade. I didn't even get any wipes out because I wasn't planning on swatching. That's what slows down a dang video. But sometimes I can't help myself because they're just so dang pretty. The next palette that I used is the BH Cosmetics Smitten in Switzerland. And this is in my 50 Shades of Blue project, blue packaging. And this is in for No Pan Left Behind. And as you can see, I'm working on it. I've only done one look with it, but it's so pretty. And this is one of my few BH Cosmetics of the travel series that I still have in my collection. There are some that I didn't really need. And as much as I love the old BH formula, love it. I wish, I've said this so many times, but I'm serious. I wish that Revolution would do something with it because it's such an amazing formula. But yeah, I've only used this once. And of course I used these shades here because those are my favorite shades in the palette. Those are my favorite shades, period. But definitely my favorite shades in this palette. Next up is from Spoiled Lips Cosmetics. And this is the Volume 19, also called the Nevermore palette. And I got this from a friend of mine. This packaging is just stunning. And if this palette ever goes off or gets too old, I will be framing this because I think it is just gorgeous. I love the purple roses in here. Are those roses or are those peonies? I think they're roses. Anyway, can we guess which shades I used? Of course I used the neutrals. I used the neutrals in this palette. It has some beautiful purples, like kind of grungy purples, and then more of a plummy purple there. I really like this pink shimmer right here. I think it's a beautiful shimmer. Of course, there are two glitters. This is a little bit more chunky glitter. This is a very fine glitter. I don't use either one of those, and I don't think I've ever used these teals down here, but it's a beautiful palette. It's beautiful packaging, and I am happy to have that in my collection. A fun fact about this palette is I bought it and it molded. And I was shocked that it molded, but I know that that was mold in there. So I threw it out. And then a friend bought it for me because it has a raven on it. I love ravens. And so I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have that in my collection. Next up is the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. You will see a lot of Natasha Denona in this. I used a ton those 3 months. But this is a beautiful warm toned palette. It's kind of, some of these shades look the same on the lid. Not when you swatch them, but when you apply them, some of them look the same. I am very happy to have this palette. The shimmers are beautiful and I love them, but some of the mattes are just very similar. And I don't understand why they have them in there. I think that was an opportunity for them to do something a little different, but they didn't ask me. So, but I'm just giving you my opinion on this, but it is a beautiful palette. Next up is a Pat McGrath palette, and it is the, I always forget what the name of it is. Where is it? Where is it? Mothership 11. This is Sunlit Seduction. So this is very pink. And I know that a lot of her palettes have pink in them, but the other one that I own from her is Midnight Sun, and there are no pinks in that whatsoever. Of all of the Pat McGrath palettes, I think this one would be my favorite. If I had to choose another one, would be the Utopian Dream. It has beautiful mauve shades in it. So yeah, I love this. I think it's beautiful, and these shimmer shades over here, these 4 shades, are stunning. And I loved the look that I did with it. This was given to me also by a friend. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I love it. I'm gonna put it back in its little home. Next up is the Tarte Maneater Nightfall palette. It's the Nightfall, right? Yes. I always get this one mixed up with another one that they have that has a lot of mauves and stuff in it. That was on my list for the longest time. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought it looked like something else. And it clicked in my head. And it's the Morphe 35XO, which is also in this roundup. And they're very, very similar. So that is now off my list. But this one I got really inexpensively, I believe on Ipsy, on the Ipsy Drop Shop. And I like the palette. I don't love the palette. I will keep the palette, but I don't love it. The look that I did, the shimmers were not very shimmery. They weren't as sparkly as what they look like in the pan. As you can see, this has barely been used. I think I've used it 3 times total. And yeah, like I know that I used this shimmer down here, and I think I might have used this one here. And yeah, I was not overly enamored. I thought the shades were pretty, but I was not overly enamored with the look that I did. I didn't think that the shimmers were as impactful as I wanted them to be. Next up is the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. This comes in summer. This is the epitome of summer for me. This is also in a project. We'll just put that to the back so my progress isn't spoiled, but I'm almost done. This is in my deck of panning for No Pan Left Behind. And as much as I don't love colorful palettes, they're not my favorite types of palettes. I do really enjoy this palette. I think the shimmers are really nice. The mattes are beautifully blendable. They're very pigmented. And it's just summer in a palette. Like, it reminds me of the beach. It reminds me of a tiki bar. It reminds me of umbrella drinks and sitting by the pool. And it's just such a fun and pretty palette. So I did enjoy using that. I've used it quite a bit. You will see it in my palette roundup for Q3 because I'm still working on my No Pan Left Behind. There's a couple in here like that. The next one, actually, let me do these all together because I used them all for the same look. Leanna, Erica, Ash, and I did a collab on Instagram, just on Instagram. And we had to use Melt. So I used 3 different palettes. I used the Melt Gemini 2, and I can't tell you what shades I did because it was a couple of months ago. But so I used the Melt Gemini 2. I used the She's in Parties, which is my favorite melt palette. I love this. It's so grungy and I love it. And mauves, guys. It's mauves. And then the other one I used was the Amor y Mariposa. And I believe I just used this for the shimmers. I think these two shimmers, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure I just used this one for the shimmers and used the other two for the mattes. But I love the look that I did, and it was so much fun. I love doing collabs with my friends. Next up is the Naked 3, Urban Decay Naked 3. I got this from Leanna. Leanna had decluttered it, and this is a palette that had always been on my wish list. Back in the day, I wanted it so very badly. It was way too expensive for me. I was not going to pay that much for an eyeshadow palette. So I have two others, two drugstore that are very similar to this that I did buy back in the day, like before my channel back in the day. So I used this one time, and you guys, I was not blown away by it. You know, I'm okay with basic shimmers. I think there is a place, I've said this many times before, I think there is a place in my collection for basic shimmers. Basic shimmers can be very pretty. I don't know if it was just that they're basic shimmers or they're old. I don't know. I did not love the look. And I'm not sure how much longer this is going to stick around, but I didn't love creating the look that I did. 3 left that I only used one time. This is the ABH Modern Ren. And oh, you're gonna see on these pictures, I wanted to point this out at the beginning and I forgot. Each picture is labeled. I used a bunch of shortcuts. Those labels are more for me than they are for you because I wanted to know which look went with which palette. So I labeled them. So just in case you're like, what's Modern Ren? I mean, I figured you would know what Modern Ren is, but I didn't, I had a bunch of pictures that I had to label, and so I went as quick as possible. So back to the Modern Renaissance palette. This was also a gift from a friend, and it is such a beautiful palette. There's a reason it was such a classic. I did this look in a video collab with Kay over at Makeup Lens, and I loved the look that I did. The look that I did was not, it doesn't look like it came from this palette, but it did. I didn't use any of the pinks, and so I'm kind of surprised that I didn't, but I didn't. And the reason I used this, our collab was all about is 2026, the new 2016. And so I wanted to pick out a palette that was released in 2016. So I had this one. This is the Alter Ego Mirage palette. I did get this in PR a couple of years ago when it released. And this is a beautiful summer palette. These coppers, these golds, the browns, the warm browns. This is a very warm, I think it's more of a warm, sultry palette. The looks that I did with this palette, I think are a little bit more on the sultry side. Same with another palette that I will bring in. It is kind of a darker palette. There are some lighter shades in here. I don't think that both of these golds belong in here. I know that this is duping the Huda Empowered palette. I didn't like that about the Empowered either. The two golds are very, very similar, and they didn't both need to be in there. It does have 2 of the cream shades, and I don't love those either. But yeah, like I love this palette. I love this palette more than I loved the Huda Empowered. I had the Huda Empowered and I returned it. So really happy to have that. Happy that they sent it to me, and it was just really pretty. The next and last palette that I used one time in Q2 is the Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This is also in my 50 Shades of Blue, and this is what it looks like. I'm sure you know what it looks like. This is the 16 pan version, and what's funny about the look that I did with this, it looks blue. I used purples. It looks like I used the blues. I didn't touch the blues. I used the purples. I was actually, I was inspired by Donna, and I was inspired by Ash on looks that purple looks that they did. So I was inspired to not dupe them, but do my version of them. And it came out blue. It was so weird. The more I worked with it, I'm like, why does this look blue? It was like a periwinkle. No, I used these bright purples, like they're purple. They're not periwinkle, they're purple. But I do like this palette. I do love the Beauty Bay formula. And yeah, so I have some progress on this, some. So those were all of the ones that I have in my possession. I also used the Revolution Ultimate Nudes Light. This was the look that I did was inspired by a look that Kay did over at Makeup Lens. She used I believe it was a Huda 9-pan palette and the Ultimate Nudes, and I think it's called the Ultimate Nudes. Way to go, Revolution. So the Revolution palette was really, really similar to that. And I love the look that she did. And I'm like, oh, I have a palette just like that. I'll use it. And the more I used it, the worse it got. I like the look that I did with it, but it took some doing. It took some work. And if I'm being honest, it smelled. Like I shouldn't even put it on my eyes, but I wanted to use it. So I used it and then I threw it away because it was starting to smell. So hopefully you saw the picture of the palette that I put up there and then the picture of the look that I did. Okay, again, no particular order. These are all the ones that I used twice. So starting with the Urban Decay Naked Cherry. This one was also given to me by Leanna. She decluttered it. Now this one I really enjoyed using. I enjoyed it so much I used it twice. So I only used a few shades from this. I did use some companion palettes with them, or maybe I used them like the Peach Out. I used them as a companion to my eyeshadow roulette or whatever. I'm only showing you the main palette that was used. So the Naked Cherry. I really like this palette. I love this color story, is one of my favorite color stories. The wines, the pinks, the champagne shades, yes, they're all beautiful. And even though this one is probably, well, it's not as old as the Naked 3 as far as release date, but I don't know when Leanna bought them. So I have no idea how old this palette is, but it still performs beautifully. Next up, one of my top palettes is the Huda Mercury Retrograde. You know, I only have 3 of the Huda palettes and I can't tell you which one I love the most. I have this one, I have the Rose Quartz, and I have the Naughty Nudes. And I love them. I love all 3 of them. I think the Rose Quartz is probably my favorite, but I just love them all. But this one always comes out in the summertime because to me, this is a beautiful summer palette, even though this side over here, these cool mauves, it can totally be a spring palette. It could totally be a winter palette or even a fall palette because I have used these neutrals, although the neutrals aren't as well used as this one. As you can see, there's a pan right here in this shade because it's a beautiful shade. It's probably my favorite shade in this, but the shimmers in this palette are also very, very beautiful. And so this is always a summer palette for me, always brought in the summer. And I'm still using it. So you'll see it next quarter as well. This is the Lunar Beauty Advent. This was an Advent calendar a few years ago. I know I was still in the other room filming, so I think it was like 3 years ago. This Christmas, maybe 4 years ago. I can't remember. This is also in my 50 Shades of Blue, duh, because it's blue packaging. And this is in for No Pan Left Behind. And when I look at this, I don't think winter. When I look at this, I think, oh, it's a winter palette. When I look at this is not a winter palette. This is not a winter palette. I almost decluttered this one too at one time, and it was not cheap. It came with the empty palette, and then each shade was in its separate envelope. And you were supposed to open one each day before Christmas. Obviously, it's an Advent calendar, but I did them all at once. I did them on camera, I believe. But these are not Christmas shades. These are not winter shades for me. Maybe this quad right here could be passed off as wintry shades, but the rest of these are like fall and like spring. Like I look at this green and yellow and I think, wow, that looks like spring. I look at these warm tones here and I think, wow, that is a great fall palette. Or even summer. These shades right here could totally be a summer palette as well. So this is, I only have a few shades left to fulfill my no pan left behind, but I'm really glad that I didn't declutter it because it is a beautiful palette and it does have a beautiful formula. I love Lunar's formula. I only have one other palette from Lunar and it's seriously one of my favorite. The next three are the last, no, they're not. Let's do this one and then the last three, and then we'll talk about the last three. So this is the e.l.f. Bite Size in the color story Take Your Pink. Now, is this pink? No. No, this is not pink. This is like a peachy brown. Like a rosy brown or a peachy brown. This is not pink to me. But I did love using this palette. I used this in I used it in a reel or in a short or whatever you want to call it. But I also used it one other time. And this is a perfect little palette. The color story is pretty. It is such a great everyday palette. The formula, the shimmers are really pretty. They're not spectacular. They're not in your face. They are a basic shimmer. But like I said, I don't mind those. And it's just such a pretty little palette. You can do a complete look with this palette. It would be a great travel palette. I really enjoy it. And I'm really happy that I bought it because at one point, I think I had 4 or 5 of the Bite Size and they got old and I decluttered them. I only have 2 now, but yeah, I really like it. Okay, the next 3 are all 3 Natasha Denona, and those are the last 3 that I've used twice. The first one is the Natasha Denona Retro. This is in my deck of panning. The prompt is has a pan, as you can see, this pan here. Do you see which shades are my favorite shades? Because in the Mercury retrograde, again, this type of shade had a pan in it. This one is almost gone. This is my favorite shade in the palette, and it just happens to be called Andi. But I just love this palette. And the look that I did with this palette that I'm showing you is actually more of the warmer tones in here and not the cooler tones, I believe. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think it's the warmer tones. Now that I say that, I can't remember. You'll see it. We'll both be surprised. But it's a great palette. I think that these pinks are beautiful. I think that the deep shades are beautiful. Next up is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. And Gorge, got this from a friend as well. And different, I don't know. I think there are a couple of tones in this palette that do kind of dupe themselves, but not as much as the I Need a Warm. And I think that the shimmers in this palette are just beautiful. And they definitely show up true to pan. Like what you see in the pan is the way it looks on your eyes. So I do really appreciate the color story in this. I don't think it's too dark. I don't think it's too light. I don't think it's too warm. I don't think it's too cool. Even though it is a gold palette, these tones are very neutral to me. They don't look overly warm. They don't look overly gold, except for the shimmers, the couple shimmers. But there is which one is it? One of these is a duochrome. Maybe this isn't the right palette. Maybe it's the other palette that has the duochrome. I think I'm telling tales. I'm telling tales. It must be the bronze palette that has the duochrome. But anyway, I love the palette and I enjoyed using it the 2 times that I used it. And that is a palette that is in all summer, so you might see it in next month's roundup as well. The next one I'm going to wipe off on my pants because it's also very reflective. And it is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. Mine does not have the squeak yet, that some do. Is this the one that has the duochrome in it? Maybe it is. Maybe this is the shade in here. This shade right here. I'm looking to see if it's shifting on camera. I don't know. You guys, I could be making it all up. I don't know. This is the one I was talking about where sultry summer nights. Sultry summer night looks. I love the looks that I've done with this. I have used it again in Q3 because it's just a beautiful summer, warm, copper, just summer hot goodness. It's hot goodness. And I really, really enjoyed using it. This one is this shade right here is a little unexpected. It is a very like plummy brown, But when you put plummy brown with oranges and coppers, it is beautiful. Matter of fact, I'm wearing a plummy brown today with more warmer tones. And to me, it's almost like a summer sunset type of look, although this is not a sunset look that I'm wearing right now. But I just really love this. I think it's this one that's a little bit on the shifty side. I think it is. I can't tell, you guys. I just can't tell. This next stack of palettes, there's only 4 palettes here, have been used 3 times. So let's start with the Morphe 2. I got this at Marshall's. This is the Morphe 2 from Hawaii with Love, right? I always want to call it Hanging in Hawaii, and I'm pretty sure that that is a BH palette. But this is my color story. These are my tones. These tones are where I feel the prettiest. I love mauves, I love roses, I love pinks, but not like hot pinks. I like muted pinks, romantic pinks. I love a romantic color story. And I bought this just for the color story. I remember Morphe 2, but I don't remember. I remember it was a thing, but I don't remember anything from it. I believe that was before I really got into makeup or even knew much about makeup. But this one here, I don't remember these launching. I just remember that they were present, like that they were a thing. So when I saw it at Marshall's, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to look at that. And as soon as I saw the color story, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to buy that. It's beautiful. I love it. And I really like Morphe's old formula. As I've said many times, ad nauseum, I've talked about it, ad nauseum I have. And I just love the formula. I know not everybody feels that way, but I do. For my eyelids, they go on like a dream. So I just really love that palette. Next up is the Morphe 35XO. I bought this right before they discontinued the old formula. I am so happy that I bought this. This is the palette earlier that I was talking about. The Maneater, the Tarte Maneater palette, but it wasn't the Nightfall. It was called something else. This is what it reminded me of. I kept looking at it. I kept thinking about it. And I'm like, it reminds me of something. And so I put them side by side and they're very similar. So I don't need that. I'm so very happy to have this. I used this so much after I got it last year. And I used it 3 times just in Q2. I normally go for this side over here. I think that the side with the mauves and the pinks and even a little bit of purple tones to it. It's not like purple, like this one's purple. But these over here are just really pretty pink tones. I used this the other day. So again, in Q3, and I used these rosy browns over here, and I freaking loved the look that I did. It was so pretty. So I will show you that next quarter, but I'm just so happy that I was able to get this. And Ulta had them on sale, like ridiculously on sale, because I didn't know that they were discontinuing them, but they were discontinuing them. Unfortunately, because as I said, I love that. I love this formula. I hate that they put the shade names on the insert. And not that I really need to know the shade names, but I like to know the shade names. Okay, let's get this one out of the way. This is the Juvia's Place Magic Mini. Yes, I used it 3 times. It was in my Project 3 uses. And while I think it's such a pretty color story, and this was also given to me by a friend years ago. It's been like 5 years ago, I think. It's rarely been used because something just wouldn't allow me to reach for it. Yes, it's a colorful palette, but these shimmers are very pretty. But when I used it in my Project 3 uses, the photo that you're seeing is I used this gold shade right here, and they're just not performing the way they used to. Yes, it's been very much neglected, but I have used it. These pinks, this pink, and then that purple up there have been used the most. Also, this blue is a pretty dang good blue. For being a drugstore type brand, a more affordable brand, let's say that. It's a more affordable brand. I am not a fan of Juvia's Place personally. I've already talked about why that is. It's a customer service issue. It's not anything with the brand. They have a beautiful formula, and there are things that they have that I would buy if I actually bought from them, but I'm not. But yeah, I did declutter this. This is in the declutter pile, but I still have it in my possession. It's just in my declutter. The Glam Light Ice Cream Dream. I was watching Jen Beauty, and she was doing her palette collection, and she showed this palette, and I was like, oh, it's so pretty. Do I wear these tones? No, not really. But for some reason, I really wanted it. I went to the Glam Light site, completely gone, sold out, never to be heard from again. At some point, I went back on the Glam Light site and was looking through the sale, and they had them on sale. I'm like, wait, did they find some? Like, how does that happen? So I bought it, and it was so neglected. It has been so neglected in my collection that it was on my chopping block. When I did my palette collection and declutter last year, I had several piles. I had a declutter, I had a keep, I had a chopping block, and then I had a depot pile. Shades that I wanted to depot from the palettes. But the chopping block, this was on my chopping block. And it did not go into my Project 3 uses. For whatever reason, I can't remember. I think in Deck of Panning, I can't remember why it came in. I think in Deck of Panning, it was like the chopping block, and I brought this in, but I can't even remember if that's even it. It doesn't matter, you guys. What matters is I used it. I love it. I will not declutter this palette. It is beautiful, and it works as the perfect companion palette to another palette that's in this roundup. And I will talk about that when I get there, because the picture that you're going to see with that palette is also using this palette. The picture that you're seeing with this palette is also using that palette. They are perfect companion palettes. I have two palettes that I used 4 times in Q3. And the first one is the ColourPop Smoke and Roses. And when you see the inside of this, you'll know why. You'll know why it was used 4 times. This is my perfect color story. I recently bought this. This has been in and out of my cart. I should say had been. This had been in and out of my ColourPop cart. I don't even know how many times. At least 10, but probably more. Whenever they would have their sales on their mega palettes, I would put it in my cart. And then I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that palette. Well, I was on Mercari one day, and I found it for $19. And it was unused. It was... Okay, I don't know if you just saw that, but this entire shade fell out. I was just bragging about it. I was bragging about it being unused and me finding it on Mercari. I think that's one of the Super Shock shades. It is on a piece of paper. It was all contained. It was on a piece of paper. I'm going to repress it back into this pan. 100%. I'm going to do that. But anyway, I'm really happy to have this palette, or at least I was before it turned on me. But I did use it 4 times in Q2. It is beautiful. I'm happy. It's not the first ColourPop shade that has just fallen out of the pan on me. I don't want any other ones to do that. So I'm going to put it away now. But yes, used it 4 times. Love it, even though it just fell out of the pan. The only other palette that I used 4 times in the second quarter is the Pat McGrath Labs. This is the Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana. This was a holiday release a few years ago. I was in the other room, so it's got to be like 4 or 5 years ago that this was a holiday release. And this was also on my chopping block. And I can't remember if I brought it into my deck of panning or if I brought it into my Project 3 uses. But I'm really happy that I did, because I discovered that this is a beautiful palette, and the look that I did with this, I loved. I didn't use the shades that I would normally use. I believe I used this rosy orange type of shade and this orange shade. And then I know I used this shimmer right here. And it was such a beautiful look. I was really happy with how it turned out. I know I used a matte white on the very inside, which I never do. I put a shimmer over that, but I rarely put a matte white anywhere on my eye. But yeah, so I was happy, and this is now staying in my collection. I am not going to declutter it at all. Okay, I have 2 palettes that I used 5 times, and both of them are in projects, and that's kind of why The second one was, well, that's why both of them were used that much. But the first one is the Revolution Batman palette. This is the 9-pan that came out with, I can't remember how many pans it was, but it was a full size. It was in the 10 packaging. That is now up on my memory shelf because it has the same shades in it. And those are really the only shades in that palette that I really like. So I just decided to keep this one in my collection and put that one up on my memory shelf. I won't declutter it from my house, from my possession, because I do love Batman very, very much. But this one is a really great color story. I love these warm tones. They're very coppery, they're very warm. This is a really great summer fall palette. I can't remember when I actually brought this in, but I brought it in for 5 uses in my deck of panning, and I believe it was for pop culture. So pop culture, I believe that's what the prompt was. But yeah, I just love this. And you can see these shimmers, especially this shimmer right here and this shimmer right here, have been used quite a bit. I just really love this palette. And whenever I talk about this palette, I always say this, but you know, Revolution is very hit or miss to me. This is a hit. This is such a great formula. And was this Revolution Pro? No, it was just Revolution. So yeah. The second one that I used 5 times is the Rick and Morty palette. Again, Glam Light. I saw my friend Ash got this palette in a box or something. I can't remember where they got it, but something about this color story, let me show it to you. Something about this color story just would not leave my mind, living rent-free in my head for months. But it had been discontinued on Glam Light. So I knew it was gone. I was never going to get it again. And I don't know why I feel so strongly about this palette. I don't do rainbow palettes. And this is very rainbow-esque. Very, very rainbow-esque. But I do love these shimmers. And these are great mattes. And again, this dark blue is such a great matte. I have used this dark blue probably more than any other shade in this palette. But the purples are fantastic. I don't remember if it was last quarter or this quarter. I think it was this quarter. So you'll see this again for my quarter 3. But I used the pinks and the purples and the pink and purple shimmers, and it was beautiful. I loved it. It was very bright. And while I am a neutral eyeshadow girly, sometimes I like to play in color. And this was one of those times, and I needed to fulfill my no pan left behind. I'm losing my voice. I needed to fulfill my no pan left behind, and I just loved it. I love using this. And this is the palette that I use with this. So look at these together. These are perfect companion palettes. They're perfect because this has a lot of mid-tone and dark shades. This has a lot of pastel-y shades. And so like for blending out and all of that, these are perfect. So I'm happy that I decided to keep this one in my collection. And I'm really happy that I found this. Oh, I ended up finding it on Mercari, unused. Thank you, Mercari. Thank you. I have found so many great deals on Mercari. Now, if I could only find the Lethal Night Flower palette, that's my palette that got away. That is my... I want that palette so much. And they're asking an arm and a leg. And it's been used. Like, I don't mind if it's been lightly used because I can sanitize it. But when you're talking about gouges in it and pans and big dips in it, and you're trying to sell that for 60 bucks, you know what you can do with your 60 bucks? I'm just saying. That's ridiculous. The price gouging on palettes that have been discontinued. For instance, I sold my Blend Bunny Surge on Mercari. I sold it for $30. It had been very, very lightly used. I could have asked for probably over $100 for that because it had been discontinued. But that's shady. Like, no. I understand supply and demand. I understand economics. But it's eyeshadow. Like, it's, come on. And the fact that you got so much use out of it, you're gonna put it on for $125, or even the one that's I think there's one up there now that's $55, but it has been through the freaking war. No, I'm not buying that. Okay, I have one palette, which it's not going to be a surprise to anyone because I am working on this palette this year and I'm trying to hit pan in every shade. Well, I used it 40 times in Q2. And look at the pans. There's a pan here. This pan and, I don't remember. Might have been these two pans when I brought it in. I can't remember which pans were there when I brought it in. But so I have a pan in all 4 of these shades. I have a pan here. I have a pan here and here and here. The next one I'm going to try to hit pan on is this one right here. And was there another one? This one was a complete surprise pan because I was using this to set my eyeshadow primer. Now I'm using this to set my eyeshadow primer. This pan, this shade is never ending. It will never end. But I'm thinking that one of these, this one or this one, will be the next one I hit pan on because I will use that as a transition shade. I will use this as a blending out shade, and I've just been trying to use it a lot. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of my palette roundup. Let me know what you think of some of these palettes. Do you like me including the looks that I did? Because I didn't do that last quarter, and let me know if you liked that. Also, let me know what were your most used palettes of Q2. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. And until our next adventure, everyone have a great day, and we'll see you later.